Okay, we all sound good. Going live. We're live, says YouTube, and that means it's time for me to read out the following. You are listening to Let's Go JoJo, the weekly JoJo's Bizarre Adventure podcast about weekly anime from Dynamite in the Brain and Secret of the Sailor Madness. So come along and hang with the Let's Go gang. It's Dwayne,
Hello.
it's Niall,
How are you?
and it's me, Brian. And this week we are covering anime that aired the week of the 1st to the 7th of October 2022, with a couple of exceptions, starting with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 6, Episode 18, Enter the Foo Fighters.
Enter the.
Yes, or Enter the FF. The Fantastic Four show up in this one. The big old twist. Does anybody have?
Ben Greer's a stand user? Okay.
I'm trying to think if anybody's powers in this have any relations. I guess the closest might be Foo Fighters and Hydro Man.
I mean, we have a guy in this episode who literally has his legs turn into springs, which is very Mr. Fantastic of him, in the most horrific way possible.
Yes, they're not supposed to turn into springs, though.
No, they're made of legs. They're not supposed to do that.
NS3 is Shadow Cat. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So, FF, as we last saw her, had the top of her head sliced off, or partially sliced off. She flipped top head, as my dad would describe it as.
Put the pineapple all the way. It's just like one bite.
And she's in the fighting Kenzu, our Feng Shui master of assassination, and his very diplomatic Dragon's Dream stand.
I'm gonna miss that dragon. That dragon's great.
Well, I mean, I don't think we'll see him again, but it did seem to be implied that even though the stand user had died, the dragon was still lingering around after it.
Yeah.
I suppose like
he was died. He's completely fucked up. Basically,
he was certainly dying when he just like kind of fucking folded up into that bucket and rolled away. So yeah, because it's bunting. Oh, not Dragon's Dream. He was actually pretty all right. Don't want to see him like fade off like into the sky and see his ghost appear in the clouds. Oh no.
But we've seen stands survive the deaths of owners before. We've met stands who we've never met their owners.
And as
fucking Foo Fighters is the stand and the stand user at the same time.
We get that in the little thing is like the stand Foo Fighters, user Foo Fighters. It's like,
It's plugging the USB lead into the USB lead as it keeps going around.
So for bulk of the episode, FF's main concern is got to get me some water so I can heal myself and take care of this guy.
Because as they're like bleeding from the gap in their head, Jolene's kind of like, I'm not so worried about that because the good news is they're not bleeding profusely from the hole in the head, because that's bad. Because FF needs some water.
Yes, but in a very Mr. Bean-esque manner, things go incredibly wrong for FF in an attempt to get this water and the hose she's chasing, and she ends up sat in the electric chair, and the hose switches the electric chair countdown off.
That part is very Mr. Bean. I don't think I've ever seen a Mr. Bean where he cuts off his own arms to fit inside a hose pipe, but it sounds like a good one.
Nah, this is more like Final Destination shit, like, you know.
The
first one, ooh, that's kind of scary, but then just like as it progresses on, you know, and different people trying fucking are cheating death and getting payback, it's just like, oh no, she's gonna fucking put her hand down the fucking sink and is gonna eat it. No, wait, no, the steak that's gonna fly. No, wait, she's gonna fucking. It just keeps thinking, oh, this is how they're gonna die, but it's just like, no, because it keeps on going. And it's just fucking slapstick comedy classic.
But this is like Foo Fighters is absolutely going to get the electric chair, but the thing that keeps kind of throwing is like, oh fuck, there's a timer on it. I'm going to get up. Ah fuck, my belt's caught in it. Ah fuck, my shoe's caught on it. It's just like,
oh, I've been dive kicked into it. Ouch.
Yeah.
So Kenzo thinks, I got you, I've got you. And then Dragon's Dream is like, well, I probably shouldn't tell you this, but I must inform you that Foo Fighters did manage to get some water because you're in your 70s, you've been running around a lot, and you've sweated like an old man. And she, in fact, used this water to create a mirror. So where you think you're standing in your safe area, you're actually standing in your dangerous area.
Whoops.
And this allows them to get him into close proximity to Foo Fighters as the electric chair goes off, and she grabs hold of him and
They
electrocutes
both
him.
get the chair.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then Anasu is like, well, that's that taken care of. He doesn't want to help FF because he's only here to help Jolene. That was the deal.
That wasn't the deal. The deal was I helped
Professional.
Jolene, not
Yes. But Jolene's having none of this, and she rushes down the stairs towards the electric chair, like
like
similarly
rushes down the stairs, like
slapstickly
falls
falling.
down the
Yes.
stairs and hits the stairs and
Yeah.
guardrails at multiple points. And I was like,
Coming to save
ooh,
you.
fuck, yeah.
That's so loud.
Because she's realised that Kenzo has in fact survived. As
Because
has
he's
FF.
still
Yes.
the dragon's still floating there, but more importantly, the reflection of the dragon was also still floating there, which means both of them survived the electric chair.
Yes.
She made the fucking scorpion from Mortal Kombat, the harpoon, and the fucking stay down there, which I'm trying to kill you. No,
Yeah,
if you
so
got
she-
us out of the way of that, and she fucking jumps and fucking gets his, like, you know, he does his thing where he's gonna put, like, you know, if one reached down your throat and fucking quite a bite stimulate time, but his fucking manky foot then gets stuck in there.
Because he's mangled as fuck after being electrocuted. Yeah, he's it's worse that one of his shoes has fallen off and he's kicked Jolene in the mouth with his nasty old man toes.
You get them like right in there, you know. She wished she'd have died. But it's okay. The thread wasn't to kill him. It was just to reach in this puddle because Foo Fighters is still a colony of plankton here. They're still alive.
Just get that little drip back into the corpse that Foo Fighters is riding around in, and everything will be a-okay.
And also, Diver Down was inside Jolene's body this entire time and reassembles the guy's legs and turns him into a mockery of Tigger from Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah,
It's horrifying.
The most horrific version of that you can think of. And I did like the dragon going like, dude, why the fuck did you jump up on this guardrail? Like, and he's like, dragon, come back to me. He's like, you're moving away from me, buddy. I don't know what the fucking tell you.
Yeah, it goes along with fun. It's the two old fucking men, like fucking
Yes.
like comedy bit. It's just like fun. Hey, what you doing here, big W? You're moving away from me. No, you're moving away from me. No. Yeah.
What if we had like a Statler and Waldorf like constantly bickering, but like one of them you could see internally and then externally what has been done to his bones, which is most unusual because they are puppets. But yeah.
Yeah, nearly falls into the bin.
Beyond recovery. No fucking shit is the caption.
And anything else I'm thinking of is the next episode that I accidentally watched. Then I realised, hang on a second, I'm missing a bit of this story, and then went back to watch this episode.
Gotta
Yeah,
find
there
a
is
creepy
a
little
little-
man.
There is a little post-credit thing. It's like, hey, that guy's got the bone, but we already knew that. So yeah.
We got to get the bone. Yeah, he's a good villain, an interesting power. I like the power that is neutral towards you, which we just saw in Dragon Quest as well.
Yeah.
With Kilvern and his Reaper.
Yeah, but and it talks back to you. You know, it's just like,
Yes.
shut up.
Yeah.
I'm meant to be impartial. You're ruining my whole
And it's
thing.
actually like helping out your opponent because it's like, you're not telling her how I work. I'm supposed to be impartial. I can't be impartial unless I explain how I work to your opponent.
Yeah, that was a really good bit of writing and a weird power. Yeah, a lot of fun. Then we've got Cyberpunk Edgerunners, episode 7, Stronger, in which David has learned none of the lessons of the previous episode as we skip forward in time a bit. And now he's juiced to the gills in cybernetics.
Like everyone points it out to him. And he's like, yeah, I know. What are you going to do? It's like the season 2 reboot all of a sudden in episode 7.
I'll tell you what exactly it's like. So it's exactly like the Cyberpunk 2077 video game.
Change discs.
It starts off with a prologue story which ends in tragedy. And then you get to the main game where you're taking jobs, and the very first job they're doing in this episode, he's taking that job from the person who gives you your very first job in the Cyberpunk 2077 after the prologue part. So the Wakako woman who's ringing him up, she's one of the fixers who you do jobs for in the video game. And then the second half, when he goes to meet, God, I can't remember his name, the guy from Faraday, the fixer, is working on behalf of Militech. That is, I can't remember the name of the bar, but it's the bar where you constantly go to in the video game.
Yeah, Haven, Afterlife, something like that.
Afterlife, yeah, that's the one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, this episode is the most like the video game, I would say, in terms of.
I mean, like it also has the video game thing of it's like, yeah, do check for traps when you're going through the enemy base.
Yeah,
I haven't played it, but that is a very video game thing that you do
Yeah.
have to check for.
the trap looks exactly like the traps in the game, just like in the previous episode. The previous episodes, the drones look exactly like the drones in the game. The turret in this one looks exactly like the turret in the game.
And I assume they're also hackable in the game and everything.
Yes,
Yeah.
but the animation in this is much more fun and also,
Gory?
yeah,
This
gory.
is
and
more
also,
gory than the last episode.
This
right?
is more gory. Yeah, and
Oh,
also
man. You're getting
it's the-
evaporated in that warehouse.
I think it's because like the last ones, it was like people we like were getting killed, whereas this one is just like goons are getting killed. Yeah.
Yeah, I've not tried out the DLC. I can't remember if they've put in a third person. No, they haven't. No, what they've put in is you can choose how you look. So if you change your outfit, you can keep like the look of a different outfit that you've got.
Oh yeah.
But the problem
just
is
the aesthetic look over the.
you
the
never see what
mechanical
you look like because it's always first person. It's only in the menu do you see what clothes you're wearing.
Okay.
Oh, I guess your arms, the cuffs of your sleeves.
You have
You
to
see
know
that.
you look cool, man.
Yes.
Mm.
Whereas here, you get like the physical change to David is pretty big. He's like loaded on the like big add-ons to
But
his
basically, he
arms and
had
his
Main's
legs.
arm, and
Yeah.
then it's just like, well, now I gotta get the rest to match it then. And I got my
Because
fucking
it'll look
tiny
weird
little
if I
head.
have one big arm. Yeah.
Also, Rebecca's got new arms as well. She's got like arms the size of her
Big
like
hands.
her,
entire
really.
torso.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like
'Cause
fucking
at one point
Frankie's
she's-
hands.
Yeah, very much so. At one point, she's using one as like a little spider to ride around on while they're at the outdoor bar that they tend to go after the missions. It's cool because it's basically like David is literally finds himself in the position of Maine, while that's only happened very recently, as far as I can tell in the thing. And they're just like, fucking, Maine would have liked this, but it's like, yeah, but people think you're cool now, David. This guy signed on because like, I want to fucking do a team up with David. He's so cool. And it's just like, wow, I'm in the position that I was in. I'm in the position of leadership that I was joining before. It's just like, this is, yeah. But he doesn't seem to show any inclination to, despite everyone pointing out, it's like, dude, you probably have a bit too many mods. You're probably going a bit too far. You're getting a little twitchy in the arm there.
I'm fine. I'll tell you when I've had enough.
Yeah.
What could possibly go wrong? So yeah, the first half is like a very simple mission, which has got the Maelstrom gang, who again they're in the video game, and then the second half is we got a little bit of like the downtime. We're in the bar. We get Rebecca hopelessly flirting with David, who seems completely oblivious to it. So she's like, "I'm gonna have to change my tactics."
I'm sorry. You might. I've seen people like her a lot as a character, but like he's not into you, dude. You're gonna have to try.
She's a little goblin. That's why.
I mean, like some people on the internet, because I've been on fucking Twitter and shit, they're absolutely into little goblins and her specifically.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, when you gotta love a gal who fucking just customizes her guns in the same sort of like very lurid color scheme as her hair and things like that, you know.
She's very good thematically, and I saw someone saying it's like, oh, on one of her tattoos that she has "Dick" written across her leg, and it's like, no, she's PK Dick. It's fucking, it's very obvious with its references.
Yeah, so David gets the call from Faraday, and they're still trying to get the information from Arasaka.
Heard you got a good hacker on your team. Oh no, man, she's taking some personal time for herself. Okay.
Well, he doesn't say anything like David doesn't identify his special deep dive hacker, but Faraday's like, yeah, you want to get her back in line, and David's like, you know who exactly the fuck it is, and I've been trying to dance around it because it's like, don't mess with Faraday, it's gonna be bad, but he's still going, yeah, I'll take the job.
Yeah, get her back in just for one last heist. Then that'll be it. Yeah.
Sure.
And no, she's just fun keeping things in because you get the sense that everyone else has died around her, but he's somehow still stuck around, you know, and suppose when she kind of met him, he was this very empathetic and very kind of starry-eyed kid, and then now just kind of see him all. Now he's this one big, hulked-out dude. But even though he's a big hulked-out dude, I'm still worried about him, and I don't want anybody to come near him or kill him. So while I've been kind of, I'm just kind of sitting there doing nothing, I've actually been going out and seemingly on a vigilante rampage, like hunting down and just exploding the heads of anybody who was getting close to the information I found in your man's brain.
Yeah,
Yes.
because according to the Faraday's guys, like the information was wiped, but there's no way that exec would have wiped it or had the chance to wipe it before he fucking broke. So it's just like, okay, that was done by one of their squad, and we know who the fuck did the deep dive. So
yeah, I guess she's got like she's in the middle of like a very tender moment with David, right outside town to watch the stars, you know, and that. Just going in for the embrace and saying, "I won't leave you, baby. I'll be around forever." And then she must have like a Google alert set up because like her eyes just go zoom, and it's just funny. It's privy to this meeting going on in cyberspace of them mulling over all that.
And like her going over her backstory with David, I thought was like maybe not clunkily handled, but like a little less elegantly handled. But then they had lots of little moments like where she's looking at him drinking a beer without getting the hiccups or whatever like he used to, because he doesn't like fizzy drinks. It's like because he's different now, he's changing. And is he the same person, that innocent starry-eyed kid that she initially found herself drawn to? Yeah,
so we learn that she's the one survivor of an experiment Arasaka were doing to create net-running children who they could send into the old internet that was brought down by Raisha Bartboss.
to try and recover some of the information. Like it was like 78% of all information was lost or something like that.
Yes, yeah. You've in the video game you find his body in a junkyard. I think very close to where your body ends up in a junkyard at some point in the story.
Small town.
Yes, you can choose to go back there and pick up the gun which shot you. Yeah, so the video game is like it's a big Arasaka plot in the video game as well. But when you play through it a couple of times and you do like the sub-story stuff, you know, at least I started to notice there's another story going on in the background, which is probably pulling the strings of what you think is the main story in the foreground.
Okay.
And
well, it's such like a big corporation, so many fucking like opportunists in it. It's just like this one possibility of all these plots are kind of going on within each other, you know, like into orbits or in parallel to whatever other plots got going on. I mean, it's a big company; they've got a lot of departments.
Yeah, and they talk about rogue AIs in this episode, and that's the suggestion of what's going on in the main game as well. Is that there's a rogue AI pulling the strings of all these corporations, and indeed you, the player character, by proxy.
Yeah, like it doesn't make her out to be some special thing because she's the only survivor of this secret fucking thing. Like these were just random ass kids they were experimenting on. They might have run this experiment several fucking times.
Yes.
Or multiple times at once. Like they were just that particular department's version of it. Yeah.
It's something to do with David as well. There's this he's got like a prodigious like affinity for cybernetics. Coincidental. Probably not. So is he some kind of product or offshoot of some other thing that got going on? We're going to make a bunch of kids, and then they're going to be one like maybe modded into super cyborgs, or just like after him in the same capacity. He's just like this one-off, and it's just like he's on their radar now. We gotta get him in and then see what's under his hood and sequence. Well, they cut me up and fucking did all sorts to me as well, and I don't want that to happen to you either.
Yeah.
So I'll be the fucking like the real villain here. You know, you want to be the tough guy, but I'll make all the fucking hard calls when it comes down to it to protect you from that.
And what I assume will be an important piece of information is Doc, the Ripper Doc friend of David, asks him, "What are you trying to be, Adam Smasher?" And David's like, "Who's Adam Smasher?" And he's like, "Let me give you a little potty history of Adam Smasher."
Wow.
Like as Lord Umsco, like the way he's talking about it is kind of like this thing was cool as shit. You know, he's interested in this, which is why he's excited to lower dump on David.
Yes, also, he's one of the villains in the video game as well. So it's like, oh, you'll see him here. So I was like, can they kill him here? can he also die here, or does he have to stay alive so you can kill him later in the video game? 'Cause I think this is taking place before the video game, from what I was looking at the DLC information. Because I think the
Okay.
DLC, the one character from the anime who appears in the 3 extra missions is Falco.
Hmm.
Um,
So I was
so
wondering if you could nearly, if it was taking place simultaneously or anything, because you said the rocket launches happen in the
yeah,
game as well, and I was wondering if that was a way to time it. Basically, those take place every X amount of months or something like that.
yeah, and
Hmm.
yeah, something gets launched from the moon in one of the sub stories, and you find it. I think it turns out to be a bottle of wine or something.
Hmm.
Um, So there is moon connections there. It definitely feels, from the mention of the moon here, and whether they get to the moon or not is
Hmm.
meaningless. But the stuff to do with space in the main game is like that's what they've got their eye on if they do a sequel. Um,
Hmm.
and presumably, if they do a sequel, they'll probably stick to using the same engines, and they don't have to do so much work again.
Yeah. But then it'd be no fun. Well, it's just supposed to be floating around at zero gravity.
Yeah, it was
See?
the space stuff was like one of the earliest things they put out for the original
Mm.
2013 based game, which was like,
Interesting.
you've been used to firing all your guns on Earth. Now we're going to send you into an environment where you really can't use your guns anymore unless you want to
Hmm.
launch yourself and everybody else around you into the cold, killing depths of space.
Yeah. And now we just like we already have Battle Angel Alita, so you're gonna be stepping on a couple of toes there.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, I continue to enjoy this. It's a lot of fun, and I'm trying to think. This might be. I don't know if it's my favorite adaptation of a video game. It's definitely a favorite adaptation of a video game where I've played the video game. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
As they go, I know I'd say just like Street Fighter film. I like the Fatal Fury film as well. Yeah, well, no, these things are few and far between. They do have a bit of a rep, but they're not
Yeah.
What
all
I'm liking
terrible.
about this one is it's not so much that it's adapting like in Street Fighter or whatever, they're adapting the main characters into a different story. It's we're adapting. We have all these assets for backgrounds
Yes.
and for places and for how the world works, and we can just adapt those for a different story involving completely different characters. And every now and again, a character from the game might show up, but they're not the focus of it.
Yeah, which I assume is like how the Rage of Bahamut
Oh,
relationships
yes, yeah.
to the
Sure.
game
Yeah.
and the
Mm.
anime is, but I've never played the Rage of Bahamut game, so I can't say whether I'd get the same sort of thrills I'm getting here. Then
Yeah,
on
I
to
think it's
things
yeah.
that actually
Sorry, go
aired
on.
this week because we've got a lot of stuff to talk about.
We do.
Dragon Quest: The Adventure of Dai, episode 97, the Tier of the Gods, and also the Tier of the Bryans. As he was watching this, as I was getting big, Going Merry saves the
Yes,
Straw Hats vibes.
it's super that, yeah.
It's that later on, and the earlier part where all the balls are hitting him in the face, I was just like, yeah, get his ass. I was just like, I was like punching the air. I was like, fuck up that guy.
The air is just fucking like they're attacking and just going complete stab berserker as fuck. Just get him, guys. Fucking punch him in the dick. Yeah, look at.
It was very satisfying, and then very sad, and then very beautiful. It was it's such a good fucking show. It does everything so fucking
Yeah,
well
and
like that.
also it's like, oh, that's what the ending animation's been about this entire second half of
Yeah,
the series.
you now understand the metaphor.
Yes. So the Tier of the Gods of the title is Gome-chan.
Hmm.
And that is how, after Vern is like, why the fuck are you still fighting me, lads?
Yeah, his thing was like, they're beyond my understanding. These humans are just attacking me like wild beasts.
Crazy as shit.
And they're like, yeah, if we kick your ass, then the field is down, and we can go all around the world and freeze the fucking thing. So all we got to do is just and Dai just hanging on to him, just trying to stab him more with the same sword.
Well, because he's like, okay, we got the swords through one of his hearts, so we just keep on attacking. He can't heal himself up. It's like the three of us, me, Pop, and the sword. Also, Pop learns one of the techniques that Vern's been using against them constantly.
Because you're supposed to get hit by Kaiser Phoenix and then be instantly fucking immolated. So, but he's seen him do this multiple times. It's like, yeah, now I know the trick to it because I'm a fucking genius. But he says that way less cockily than that. Yeah,
He does. Well, he's more like surprised. He's like, I am a genius.
it shocks him even.
Yeah, so it's like my sword is staying in there. So it's the will of us three. And yes, okay, well, fuck that 10-minute time limit. I'm just going to send the bombs off now then. And then Leonie's like, "No, we can't allow this."
Well,
I
initially everyone in the balls is like,
Yes.
"Please let my body move, come on!"
And
But
that glowing
it ends up
spot where she
Leona.
was hit glows, and then all the balls start pounding him in the face.
And he starts panicking. He's like, "Oh fuck, that's not supposed to
I didn't
happen."
know they could do that. Oh, to defend themselves somehow.
So he's like, "Okay, there's clearly someone moving the balls around, fucking with me. Who is it? It's that ball." And he shoots his eye beam at it, and it's Leona. But it's not Leona. It is what's hidden in her brassiere, which he very rudely rips open to get at. That's very rude. Don't do that, dude.
But
Yeah.
he's the villain after all.
He is. Yes, it's Gome-chan, who is a magical item known as the Tear of the Gods, and then they have a big debate as to whether he's a magic item or a person.
No, he's definitely a magical item made by the gods. It's the one single tear that they shed that allows people to grant wishes for all the fucked up stuff that happens on Earth.
So,
they're
so
like,
if
"No,
every time in the series you get your ass out of dodge for mysterious reasons, that was why.
yeah." But Dai's like, "Nah, he's been my friend since I was a little kid. The fuck are you talking about? No, he's a dude. He's Gomichan."
Yeah. And also they were like, "Hey, well, we weren't wishing on it. We just got out there." And he's like, "Yeah, if you knew, he's like, well, if you knew it was a magic item, you could have wished a proper big wish and dealt with it. So I'm going to squash this before you get the chance to do it," which is kind of uh, brings about his own doom because he's bursts Gomichan, sending bits of Gomichan flying everywhere. Which, as when it was just in his fist, it was a lot harder for Dai to get in contact with Gomichan and make that final wish, as Gomichan and him have a tearful farewell, as Gomichan explains. "Well, I'll be reincarnated, and I'll be reincarnated in the time it took for you to make all the wishes.
And I've been
So
with you for years, so I won't be back for
I'll
years.
I'll
Yeah.
be back in a decade, but I won't remember you."
Because I'll
Um,
be an item, then I won't be the person. Because he's trying to do multiple things, like explain how he works. Explain it's like, oh yeah, when they were trying to find the magical golden slime, that's like the legend of the Tear of the Gods been corrupted.
yes, you wish for a
Um,
friend, and that's how I turned into Gomichan.
yeah,
And
and
I've
very very cute, very adorable fucking stuff.
Yeah, I might have one, and I may have just enough power to grant you one more wish. What do you want to wish for, Dai? It's like, "I wish all our hearts were united," and it works. And they
Yep.
call out across the world to everybody they've met to warn them about the problem. And then it's like, "Yes, there's another hero here, and it's the fake hero from the start
Yes,
of the
I
show."
was one waiting for them to come through.
They didn't die.
Because
Hooray!
as soon as they said, fun. Oh, but one of the pillars is on the frozen continent. We don't know anybody in the frozen continent. We do, of course. The last time I saw it, they formed a fake party. We almost got nuked for that thing. And they can do it, man. They got wizard. They got a full loadout. They can handle it.
Yeah, it's like it's the kind of innocence of Dai as a kid, like wishing for a friend, and then the innocence, the kind of purity of him as a thing of, I want to unite all our hearts as one to solve this fucking problem. And I'm just like, that's fucking beautiful, man. It like Pop's great, but you get why Dai's the fucking hero. It's
Yeah,
great.
Yeah,
And
and
there's
he was ready to the guy's shoulder as well. Well, if after this everybody hates me, that's fine because everyone will still, be fucking
Be
united at
alive.
one cause, and I'll deal with it. But if we do this wish where we can unite everybody and they don't hate me, then that's even better.
Yeah, they also make the point that the gods deposited the Tear of the Gods on that island specifically because it was free of humans, and
So it was free of like human adverse and
Yes.
stuff because there's only monsters on that island.
yes, there's
Yeah.
pure-hearted monsters lived on that island as opposed to despicable
They're only
humans.
bad when they get hypnotized by the Dark Lord.
Exactly. Monsters aren't inherently evil.
Yeah, no, it's a wonderful episode, and yeah, I was bawling by the end of it because it's got that elation thing that always gets me of like, yeah, we're doing it now, lads.
It's so well done. And then that thing at the end where like Dai kind of turned back to him, I made a wish, and he's like, fucking what? That's bullshit. And then the shot of the Vern Palace like silhouetted like a Goma-chan. I was like, oh my god, it's so fucking well done. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
He is getting slapped next week.
Yes, there's 3 more episodes left for him to get his ass kicked.
Oh boy, I look forward to it eagerly. But at the same time, that separation anxiety. Oh boy.
Like the difficulty in not wanting to talk about this like last week because we moved the time scale a little, but like I'm glad. I just like that means that I get to wait a little bit until I watch like last week's
Yeah.
one, so I can draw this out a little bit longer,
Yes.
which I'm
Well,
okay with.
Died and Pop and the rest of them, they're all good lads and lasses. You know, but we got some other good lads back.
Yeah.
So they gotta shoulder their burden.
Yeah. And we got a good boy in Spy Family, episode 13, Project Apple, which is time to buy Anya her dog. So we're going
You
to
promised.
the Strix Run pet shop where they will purchase a war dog.
They're trained as guard dogs, but like because Anya can hear the thoughts of anything, the dog going like, check me out, I'm really buff, and there's one Doberman just fucking like just flexing at her. It's just beautiful.
There's
They're
a great
weirdly
they
human.
keep doing it in the background as well.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
They are the most weirdly human dogs. And they're
Like,
more
one of them
human than
sitting in
dog
the-
who's
in
got
the-
psychic
in the-
powers.
Yeah. Like one of them sitting in the what's it, the banjo kind of pose, like the little squat,
Yeah.
which is like dogs can't do that, but it's great. Yeah. Any of those dogs would have made a wonderful addition to the show, but no, they are just there for a joke. Obviously,
Yeah.
our guy is
So-
a big fluffy boy.
Lloyd's whisked away on an important mission. So you're and
Anya
Anya,
covers for him.
they go to the an adoption fair for animals that's taking place in town.
I loved her going like, "Why didn't Lloyd bring us here first? It's full of puppies and stuff. This is perfect." It was just kind of like the guy going like, "Well, they're not these trained attack dogs. That like you could try one of the puppies. That's probably fine.
So they're like,
Much better."
Yor gives Anya one rule: you got to stay by these dogs. Don't run off while I go and talk to the experts about what will be the best dog for you.
Hmm.
But then she sees two of the terrorists walking the bomb dogs across, reads the mind of one of the dogs, who for some reason has the image of Anya's family inside its head, and so therefore, being a good girl or being inquisitive about the dog, what's going to win? She's like, I can't tell Yor because she won't believe me, or I've got to reveal they got psychic powers. So therefore, I've got to follow this dog on my own. It's up to Anya to save the day.
And we learn on Lloyd, like, because Lloyd's getting like brought back to HQ, where he has to impersonate the head of a terrorist organization in order to trick a guy to give
Yes.
him information. They're worried because it's like, holy shit, they've trained bomb dogs to take out the foreign dignitary, and it's just like those are worth like one cruise missile each, and it's like, no, they've just gotten a bunch of dogs that they're going to strap bombs.
Yeah,
to.
and
It's
the
kind of
terrorist-
dumb, you know. It was dumb
Yes.
even when it was funded by the military.
Yeah.
And the terrorist cell is basically a bunch of lads being bullied by one man with a knife. Is how it feels. Because when the two lads are
Yeah.
out taking for a walk, you get the feeling that it's like they're afraid of what Keith will do to them if they get into trouble.
It feels like a super small. This is just probably it for the cell. I think it's supposed to come across that they're like student protesters, so they haven't really
Yes.
got much
Yeah.
top on to themselves, that kind of way.
Keith promised me I'm going to turn to the knife, but he keeps holding on to it.
Yeah.
But Anya finds herself kidnapped, as she often does in this series. But this time it is the dog, the big white dog, as I believe is currently credited in the. Which have you noticed who plays the big white dog?
Kenichi
yeah.
Matsuda, he was the voice of in Marvel cartoons of the Hulk.
Well, more importantly, he's the voice of the narrator as well of Spy Family, which gives the
Oh.
impression that is this show being narrated by the dog?
Well, it can see the
Nice.
future, so you know it would
Yes.
be
That's true.
like pretty clued up on what's happening.
He is great as the dog, particularly just the way he says "borf" in various emotions.
And like people don't go like they don't say back to him as like, hey, quit your barking at me or quit your bow wowing at me or whatever. They do say borf back as well, which is fantastic because it's so
Yeah.
obvious it's a man saying borf that.
Yeah.
And him initially like jumping in front of Anya is like, you weren't hurt this child, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna fuck you up now, dog. The dog's like, I'm gonna hide behind the child now because I'm a big scaredy dog.
Yeah, I think also because once you've established that he can foresee the immediate future, which we do in the earlier scene where he rescues a small boy from being hit by a sign, it's like, oh, you don't have to now show every time he's seeing the future. You can just have him do something, and you can go like, oh, that's because he's seen what would happen if he continued that behavior. But then yes, he then he like passes the message. Does he indicate to Anya to read his mind somehow?
Yeah. It's kind of like, hey, pay
Yeah.
attention to me, kid. And it's like the telephone's gonna ring. And she's like, the telephone's gonna ring, and then the telephone rings, distracts all the terrorists, and they do a runner.
Yes.
But the
And
dog runs off with her on his back, and she's initially scared, but then she's like, "This is fucking exciting. This is
Yes.
exactly the excitement I crave."
She's got into her head she's got an award for saving a drowning child.
Yes.
If I go to the police and I alert them to the bad guys with the bomb dogs, I could get me a star, and then I could be starring you again. Yes.
But I also like the dog. This is a very smart dog that can predict the future. However, it is still a dog, and therefore kind of fucking stupid. It's just like running around the block at a
Yes.
high speed. And
it runs around in a
terrorists are like,
circle and
It's
wears
doing
itself out.
zoomies.
yeah, very much so.
So they get caught again, but this time Yor has been following them because they ran straight past the
Dog show.
adoption show. Yes, and she's been pursuing them, and she kicks the biggest terrorist who was about to grab Anya.
It's very satisfying when she makes someone ping pong around the place, which she does
Yes.
very often. But yeah, I did also appreciate her panicking at the dog show and like jumping into the rafters.
Yes.
This ninja.
To take in the fucking situation, and then when she jumped down later, like one guy saw her and went, "What the fuck?" The woman just appeared out of nowhere, and you can just watch his reaction for the rest of the scene. It's very funny.
Yeah. I almost forgot to watch this, and I was like, "Oh, is this a sign of this be the thing I should drop?" And then I watched it. I was like, "No, I can't drop this."
It's so good.
But now it's got the dog in there, you know. If you think, I got to set up here 3, and then the dog comes crashing in, and let's just gotta set it back up again. Oh.
And the action's very good. And it's like the dog. She's not immediately riding on the dog's back. He grabs her by the hood of her coat
Yes.
and then drags her down the stairs initially before
And
hurling her.
he swings her onto his back, but she's not riding him like a horse initially. She's just hanging on for dear life until it gets exciting, and then she's riding him like a horse.
Yeah, it's more of the action you demanded, and probably some of the higher level action animation that it's had.
Yeah.
Got nice new openings and closings to them as well. Those are very good before.
Oh, the opening's very. I like the song on the opening as well. Talking of openings, Pop Team Epic Series 2, Episode 1, Identity.
Man, we're gonna be turning this fucking tokusatsu fucking podcast now. It's all rambling. It's creeping in. We get from Fuuto PI, and then we just go come high with fun saying, "Hey guys, you totally watch a new Sentai series. I haven't got time for it."
And that Kamen Rider, Pop Team Epic themed Kamen Rider fucking costume. It's the design of it's so fucking good. The little belt and everything. That's her eyes. Oh my god.
They got the proper phone like people to kit that thing out.
Yeah.
That is so.
Koichi Sakamoto doing the direction. So yeah, who's generally considered the best at directing tokusatsu. But we pick up where we left off, which is Shota Aoi being confronted by dark Shota Aoi, and then we go into the opening credits for Endless Love, which is a mix of Kamen Rider Drive and Zio are the main ones, I think, in terms of the logo design and some of the.
What does LOVE stand for? Because it's anachronized.
Yeah, I suspect we'll never know because it's an entirely different opening next week, which is even better than this opening. The new opening, anyway, that's for next week. And then we're into our sketches as usual. First sketch is Identity by Space Neko Company, in which Popoko is trying to find out something that's unique about her, but PPB keeps on being able to do the very same thing. And I was like, the staging of this seems a little different than how they normally stage it. That's because they're setting it up for turning it into a musical number.
It's really making just the kind of way they're shaped. They are a very kind of like 1920s like black and white cartoon kind of thing, and they just lean all the way into that one, saying linking arms and walking down Daisy Path like a.
With a small break, small cutaway where PPV takes Popoko to the doctors because her dancing is so bad.
Like I nearly felt bad about the musical thing because, like, obviously you watch it the first time and then you watch it the second time, and it was just like I'm kind of enjoying the new voice acting. It was like, oh wait, no, I actually like the song as well again. Yeah.
The song, I feel like it might be referencing something specific because it reminds me a little of what I've seen of like live action like NHK children's shows when they have a musical number. It felt a bit like what I've
Right,
seen
right.
there. So I don't know if it's just going for a particular vibe of children's show music or
Or if it's
whether it's
taken off a
something.
specific one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Unfortunately, this is not on High Dive, so this time we won't have good subtitles with references explained. Instead, you get occasional lines where you go, was that really the intention of the spoken line in Japanese on the Crunchyroll
Yeah,
translation?
yeah.
Mm,
Uh,
yeah. With the
uh,
tiny amount I learn each day, it's like I do pick up the occasional
yes.
meaning of it, and yeah,
Yeah.
it does like over time start to bug you.
Yeah, the PP Me Man sketch, which we'll get to, I think has the most clumsiest lines where I really could not get what they were going for. Then we
Mhm.
get a press conference from Space Neko Company again, where they're addressing their return. Um, there's another Space Neko Company sketch where it's about them being recognized for being in Pop Team Epic. And
Yeah,
then we
there's
cut
a
away.
lot of this is like awesome Matsu did to this, suppose it's like no, oh, well, I didn't know the anime would be this popular. So how you been dealing with it?
And
And then we
I think it's like the difference
being
between being like
abrasive.
famous in a specific niche, like being famous online. It's just like that doesn't mean you're famous in
well,
reality.
yeah, but then we see why they've been recognized for being in Pop Team Epic is because they're standing in the street with a big banner which says Pop Team Epic on it.
Wanting to be recognized. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Pop Team Epic for food.
Hmm.
Then we get our first new concept for this season, which is Pop Team Epic B-Side, which is a boys' love version of just a Pop Team Epic sketch played pretty much exactly how it is in the comic, or it has already been done on this show.
But with cute boys.
But 1,000% more hair flicks though.
Yes.
Like I have trouble deciding, was this better with the women or was it better with the men? This was the toughest one because I'm like, which did I often compare them? I was like, which did I enjoy more? You know?
They
Yeah.
both just go for it, really.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
then it's like because you get a sense of that we have this at the very end after the credits, like the kind of the. I guess just something like just the parents just kind of just like chatting for fun, saying, "Oh man, I haven't seen you in years. Yeah, I could wait
Yeah,
together
that was
again."
a
Just
great
fucking chatting away, and they just like I love that with it, and I made the little reactions then of them to
with
us.
the
You know,
little stock animations they have for it. I hope they do that more. That was wonderful. This one, yeah.
oh, it's good, yeah. No, I mean, you just get a sense that everyone's saying, yeah, everyone got everyone go up for this. And it's one of those things that gets around everyone saying, hey, man, you've been a pot epic yet? Fun saying, no. Fun saying, oh, man, you gotta do it. Fun. It's just like the most fun days we're ever going to do. I swear to God. The fun saying, oh, yeah, I gotta do that.
Mm-hmm.
It gets you a bit of rep for certain people. Everyone's saying, oh, yeah, you're really cool if you've been on Pop Team Epic. You're like you are of some renown if you've made your way onto it.
Yeah, I think so. Then there's Kamikaze Doga show up to do some. We've got throwing away your preconceived notions.
Hmm.
I can't remember how that ends.
She's excited to throw away her.
This is going to be
notions.
fun.
Yes.
Throw that away. Throw that the fuck away. That's
it.
Joke.
Yes,
yeah. It's very short, so
it's very short. Then they're brainstorming how to make Pop Team Epic funnier. This is Kamikaze again.
Yeah, it was a good one.
And then a rabbit says it wouldn't be Pop Team Epic if it was funny, and so Popoco shoots it in the head. And then they answer letters on their radio show, which is also Kamikaze. And then we get Akbu. Now, this is a stained glass fortune telling. The contents is not as important as the fact they're using the style they've been using the past couple of years on some of the music videos, where it's a 3D environment, but the items in the 3D environment are still two-dimensional.
No, it's like, you know, the way the guys in like South Park and shit like that are rendered in 3D, but like with flat shapes stacked on top of each other. But we can spin the camera around and make it look ugly as sin. It's great.
Yes.
Like this part wasn't ugly enough. It just makes it even uglier in the best way possible.
I was thinking more like Paper Mario. That's the exact same thing.
that
And you
would be a
were
better
very
comparison.
cognizant of the fact that whenever like it just like you turn left, whoop, you turn right, whoop, whoop, whoop. Yeah, these are just like two-dimensional little paper cutouts.
Then another Kamikaze Doga sketch where the girls are in the forest in a Blair Witch style scenario, but they're being pursued by a chocobo.
We got the Final Fantasy rights. What are we gonna do? Blair Witch. I think that would be the best thing. Yeah.
I think that's why when me and Robocop, the manga, is some of a torchbearer of this. We gotta have that at the commercial time, like no fun. Why we do this? Did we be very earnest and saying, "No, you just like do whatever the heck you want with it," up to just like falling short of outright insulting the license holders,
Yeah.
or sponsors, but do anything you want with it.
Okay, I've suddenly got the joke in PP Man. It's not the translation, it's me reading it. I've suddenly realized what the line, "You're gonna have to save scum this one."
Ah, yes,
It-
that is a
it's-
gamer term.
It is a gamer
Hmm.
term.
I assume that's what it meant. Like, because she's tied to some train tracks, I was thinking Red Dead. It's like, yeah, you're fucked in this situation. You're gonna have to go back to the prior save.
Yeah,
Mhm.
gotcha, yes. So PP Man comes down to save Popoco's tied to the train tracks and refuses to save her.
Thanks, Captain Hindsight.
And that's Space Deco, as is a rap that Popoco does about being friends. And then we go to our ending theme. I didn't look at what the name is. I know the first line is "Let's play a game with our fingers."
I mean, that applies directly to because the reason they're best friends is because she picked her up first in a gacha. I think it was.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
No, it's just, I'm just messing with you, but then it's just wistfully staring at the frame picture. It's like, I remember that day.
Fucking tear. Fucking, yeah, nice.
Yeah. And then we get the welcome haters segment, which is where the voice actors chat. Actually, I think it might be called PPB's room. I think it may change titles depending on each one. It is.
Like,
And
I
this week,
did enjoy the women talking, being so excited just to work together again. That was lovely.
yes.
But then the old men complaining was also very funny. So it's a tough choice.
Yeah, so it's the women are voice actresses from Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, and the men are they work together on Legend of Galactic Heroes, amongst other things. All of them have worked together on multiple things, but I think those are the reasons you'd pair them up.
Like be your Horikawa. He's a good dude. He's Vegeta after all, amongst other things.
When I was going through his listing to see what he's worked in, it was like Vegeta, Vegito, Gogeta.
Yes.
That guy from freaking Case Closed. And it's just like, that's it, basically. Just that over and over again for ages.
Yeah.
And obviously in this show. Yeah.
But they do keep on getting it wrong, calling them high school girls, as they have to explain on the screen that they're actually middle school girls. Yeah, it's wonderful to be back now. I was like, on this one, I was like, well, obviously they can't continue to convince a Frenchman to make episodes of a show he doesn't know the plot of, because I'm sure he knows what the plot of it is. I don't even know who works for the company anymore. So that's out. I was like, there's only like one new thing. I guess the Koichi Sakamoto thing is kind of new. Anyway, my worries that it wasn't going to have enough variety are completely put aside on episode 2. So we'll get to that next week.
Oh, man.
Good.
I mean, again, it's just like it's had time to sort of to percolate now, and
yes,
it was always kind of bubbling under, like, there's that undercurrent of fervor before the first TV series came out, and then it's just like, now it's spilled over. I mean, we're still like, they're for making kind of like fan derived things. It's just a little design you can kind of like, you can put anything onto it. It's like a much more fun and deranged Funko Pop thing. Where it's it's kind of put like different things on there. They can kind of bring it up, but the in of itself, the things that references it kind of pulls from and comes onto is just so esoteric and just seems out so wide. It can snag a lot of people. It's just like, not every sketch will work for you. But if you wait 10 seconds, it'll have something else. And
that's a good point. Yeah, that's the thing that works with a lot of these sketch stuff. If this one isn't working for you, give it a minute. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It has a weird fucking like has a weird fucking Bob Nimimi fucking animation, but also has something like what we have next week, where it's like kind of a full like lavish super robot show opening attached onto it instead, with the work of some of the more famous like mechanical animators and designers who've ever been in the business.
And also there's another one which has incredibly detailed CG models of the girls in as well.
So I mean, besides like acting talent, it's also animation talent and other kind of talent. Like if everyone's saying if you were cool, you want to be on Pop Team Epic to get most fun like days work you're going to have.
I think that's why I
It's
was
good
thinking.
that they can still get the actors and animators in to be experimental on the show. Because obviously that was the worry that it's not going to have that same wild fucking energy that it had initially.
Because that's the thing. I was thinking this in the context of sketch shows in general, not just animated ones. And you do want some level of variation because lots of sketch shows will have like lots and lots of writers, but one director, and so everything will look the same. Whereas I think here, I know he just says serious composition, Junayoki, but I suspect a lot of these sketches, there's a lot of leeway for. I don't think Akbu are working off scripts that Juno Aoki are sending them. Necessarily.
Well, half of it is are we going to pull this straight from the strip, which means that it'll be kind of the same basic like fucking gag layout, but you're open to interpretation then about how you want to expand that or contract that or take it any whichever way.
Yeah, because obviously in the first series we got that where we got what Space Neko or Kamikaze would do the standard looking sketch earlier in the series, and then you'd get exactly the same sketch from Akbu later on, where it has started to look more deranged. But yeah, I think if you want a good sketch comedy show, you need some element of variation, and this has multiple elements of variation. Otherwise, you end up with Little Britain. Just get the same sketches week in, week out. Then we got Fuuto PI, episode 10, Superhuman R / a passport to Shadow Fuuto, in which a little girl hires them to find. Is it her dad or her granddad?
Granddad.
It's her granddad because it's the father who ran the machine shop. Yeah.
Yeah, and
sorry, it's his father's. Yeah, who ran the machine shop. Yeah.
This mysterious mustache man is the
exceptionally tall man
disappearance, and we already know that's Brachiosaurus from the previous episode.
Or is it?
You're just assuming that because he's tall, you racist.
Actually, the tiny child is the Brachiosaurus. He's the reactor dopant.
And also, Tomine returns to Shadow Fuuto, and then she's like, "Why the fuck did I come back to Shadow Fuuto? It's fucking horrible. It's full of monsters.
It's filled with monsters from the prior series who are being eaten by the monsters from this series." Yeah. It looked like a guy in a costume getting eaten by Brachiosaurus, so I assume that's what was going on.
Yes. And then they go there because she tries to come back, gets pulled back by Brachiosaurus. They follow and they discover that no, they didn't kidnap the grandfather. The grandfather came of his own accord.
Yeah, they dash into design is weird, a strange bit of machinery. When saying I can do it, this old dog still got some tricks yet, and it's fun. And
him being what it was for.
I'm not fun. They're not giving this to you. You're gonna give this to me. Oh no, I'm not. No, yes you are. He's like, trapped in there. He's getting chased by monsters. We gotta go get him, but also we gotta go after him and get Tokime. So, but she appears to briefly when everyone jump in. Woof.
We get the two Kamen Riders. Well, one of them faints before he gets in because he's already turned into the half of the brain of the other Kamen Rider, and the motorbike guy is also there. So we're good. Everyone who needs to be there is there.
I think that was it. Well, it felt like a very sprightly episode, but I was also cleaning the bathroom at the same time as
well. No, it moved pretty much a parallel clip. Yeah. There's lots of little moments like of him being worried that she's missing, and because initially she disappears while he's investigating a different thing, and he's like, "Oh, she's just gone off on a wander," but then he's really worried, and it's everyone commenting on how he's worried and misses her, and he's like, "Shut up, I don't." So there's a lot of like little character beats and stuff in between, but yeah, it is a fairly simple plot as a setup.
It feels like it's fun, like it's closing in on some kind of climax of sorts. I thought this was one for 12 or 13, but I guess the comic's long enough and they can kind of do it on more later. I just kind of like know what they're doing with the kind of shadow town. It's like, we just kind of like saw like they all kind of met everyone behind that in the previous episode. So it seems like they kind of spin out for a little while. They kind of have a few more like schemes on the go, and said, "Nope, we're straight in. We're going after them." I don't know. Maybe just kind of fun to sort of rocket straight through it and just come to a finish of it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, apparently they skipped over an arc to get to
Oh.
this.
All right.
Yeah, but yeah, that was Fuuto PI for this week. Then we've got Golden Kamuy season 4, episode 1, Rushin out of Russia. Will Koito get his
Woohoo.
flashback? No, he will not, and so therefore his behavior is different than it is in the comic because he hasn't had his flashback yet. Which is the one thing driving me a little nuts. The other bit is we didn't get the we skipped over some other stuff, but I was fine with. I'm sure they'll get to that. Well, I'm always worried now whether they will get to this other stuff. But there's no way they can't give Koito's flashback at some point because it's so fucking important down the
No,
line.
it is because it is about the fucking the distrust sort of one seeding in of one. Not sure this Surumi dude to be all worth it, but he's got it all together, you know. And I think he might have a screw or two loose. Might have something to do with have his brain blown off. I don't know, but let's wait and see what happens.
That's odd. Right. Okay.
Yeah. So
keep this one close to the chest.
Your main difference between this and the comic is we get a scene where Koito's looking at the picture he's made of Surumi and simping out over him. Whereas the equivalent in the comic is he's mulling over a line that Ogata said to him and what that meant in relation to his flashback. And he's getting very suspicious of his colleagues and his motivations, which he does not have here. But everything else pretty much the same, which is we're heading out of Russia back to Japan. Oh my goodness, stop off for some food. We're getting shot at. Shirayashi gets shot.
Sniper.
It's like,
And
it's
if
got to
it's a
be
sniper,
Ogata.
it's that fucking Ogata. I'll fucking bet. But they shoot Shiraishi through the leg, and it's kind of like that's a classic sniper thing. So when you go out to try and save him, they get you, and they're after he's after you, Sarpa. So
do all the tricks. You put your head up on a stick and he shoots it off. It's like, okay, he's still there.
I did like the give me your hand mirror and my what? It's like, oh my god, no wonder your face is so fucking dirty. Give me my hand mirror out of the bag.
Yep, everything seems in order here.
Yeah.
No!
Shiraishi trying to get the dogs to sacrifice themselves. And
the Ainu just not fucking having it. Him trying to go like, I'll put up a wave of crumbs because I can't attract them with my donut. And the crows will distract them, and just like a bunch of cute sparrows. Damn it.
And there are people just driving by in carts in the town. I was like, what are they doing? Everybody get down! There's a sniper out there. What was he saying? I don't know. Some kind of fucking Japanese shit.
But they're all waiting for the guy who went off to get some more of that delicious poop for his favorite girl. It's Sugimoto is running around in the background, so we just got to hang down until Sugimoto murders his way out of our problem.
He's going to cut Ogata's head off and stick it in this bucket of miso. But it's not Ogata, it is Vasily. And then they managed to come to an agreement that they both hate Ogata.
I had to
These
pause
two,
it.
okay. This one, no.
When they walk in, when the rest of the party realizing, wait, what the fuck is going on? No one's getting sniped anymore. They walk in on Sugimoto and himself, like drawing like teenagers in their diary. And I just had to pause.
They're more like fucking like kids in fucking in play school, just like one saying, I'm gonna draw a guy. Him.
Like that,
smush him up, bam, bam, bam.
All their drawing leading up to that, like made me laugh so fucking hard. I was like, I have to fucking pause it. I can't fucking read this right now. That was brilliant. Just really funny stuff.
Vasily is incredibly good at drawing, and Sugimoto is not. So Sugimoto draws a picture of himself being shot in the head by Ogata, and Vasily thinks he's drawn a spider.
Sugimoto draws Ogata getting away with one eye on a horse, and it seems to be some kind of centaur exploding. I'm not sure what's happening here.
Yeah.
He lets it out there as well, you know, not knowing that a Serpa is right there at the door for him, saying, this motherfucking just like fun, keep her away from all this, I'll take it on to myself and not fucking kill that Ogata so she doesn't have to.
Yes, but I like the blossoming friendship between Vasily and Sugimoto, and they tell him to get lost.
The same guy.
But he's stolen a horse and he's following them.
But Ogata's hunting them, so if I chase after them, I can hunt Ogata. Yeah, it's perfect.
Trying to them off easy. Tsukushima is like, well, I'm speaking Russian to him, I'm not getting anything back in the ears. So you just see it like an open back, and it's just like, oh, okay, that's why you can't talk.
He did get shot through the face, so that'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I said it's like, oh, he's still following us. Thought we let him off easy, but he still wants to come.
And then we check
So,
in on our ex-head jailer and Hijikata's group.
He's now a detective. He's gonna solve the crime. I liked all the clues lining up, and then him going like, "This case has gone cold." It's just like, no, you fucking idiot. It's very funny, yeah.
oh, this fish that dude gave me, you know, this notorious poisoner we're trying to corner. He fucking trips and falls up, and they all just go into individual little holes. Bloop, bloop, bloop.
Like a trick shot in snooker or something like that. Like all of them just going into the various little holes in the ice. But like also we do get Japan's first figure skater appearing out of the woodwork.
Yeah,
that amazing child, yeah.
Yeah, so the problem is Hijikata and Ishiyama went in search of this infamous poisoner, and they haven't come back. So they send Kadakura and Kirawus to go and find them. And yeah, they follow all these clues. They get to a frozen lake. They discuss what this guy's deal is. He is obsessed with testing people's luck by randomly poisoning things and then seeing whether you die or not.
This many of those are filled with deadly poison, and the other are perfectly safe. I want you to try them and see what way your luck is. And most of the time, people end up horribly poisoned.
Yeah, the Doritos challenge, you know, was, you know, it's a gateway to this kind of behavior, you know. Russian roulette rebels. They want to get the copy one.
Our ex-prison guard, now detective, I guess, recognizes his asshole better than his face. So that's going to really hamper his investigation.
Yes, because he apparently smuggled in some wolfsbane into the prison.
No, he assumed it's like, I always search his asshole for drugs because
it was after
he'd try and poison people.
It's after he got the wolfsbane, because we see the wolfsbane scene. And it was like after that, then we had to search him every time he went out of the prison to do.
And the guy's like, if he stubbed poison up his ass, he'd die, you idiot.
Yes.
You didn't have to search it. And he's like, all those years. So it's very fucking funny. Yeah.
It seems like Ishiyama has already been poisoned, because we see like a little flashback of Hijikata confronting the poisoner. And then by the end, it's like Hijikata's been poisoned and buried alive. It looks
because he's buried alive, the other guy, and he's like, I already have a copy of his tattoos. It's like, cool, I've already poisoned him. He's buried alive, so you're gonna have to take one of those silkworm cocoons that some are poisoned, some are not. I want to see if you're lucky. And since he's face down in the snow and then in a coffin by the end of the episode, I assume he is not lucky.
Dead.
Yeah,
and then he disguises himself and tries to poison Kadakura and Kirawus by getting a load of sprats, because you can't catch salmon this time of year. He's poisoned one of them in the mouth. It's a poison which will stay active in the mouth of the fish. And it's like, and then it goes into like how unlucky Kadakura is, and then he promptly slips up, drops the fish. They all
series of bad luck.
Yes, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so unlucky." And then of course,
fucking Lucky Abrams over here, where it's just such bad luck that it goes all the way over back around to being good luck.
So like, I guess if he had like regular luck, he would have eaten the poison and died. But he has such bad luck that he can't eat the poison. Like, it reverses around itself.
Yeah, I assume
he would be dead by now. But at the hands of the multiple vicious killers he's come into the orbit of, he's come out with fairly alright, still here.
It's not his lot to die. It's his lot to suffer. So that's why how his luck works. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like because the other guy's trying to manipulate the luck, it's superseded by the guy's natural bad luck, where he could naturally slip up on the ice.
Listen, I'm his bad luck, and I'll tell you how he's going to fucking die. That kind of way. Yeah.
So yes, the pair of them are still alive at the end of the episode, and presumably they'll continue to search for their boss next week.
Change the studio, but I don't really see much of a discernible difference as of yet. It seems fairly consistent.
The opening is kind of showcasing all the hunks you've seen before, and then here's the 3 new hunks you're going to meet this series.
And as well, like the ending animation as well. It's like, like the wanted posters and newspaper clippings, and you can kind of allude to here's all the freaks you're going to see in the rest of the series as well.
Really well done.
Jack Azaldupa, who could that be?
Yeah, I still need to go back and watch the OVAs though too, or I guess I could just read the bits of the comic that fill in those gaps.
Yeah, that too.
Because there was another volume up on Viz's Shonen Jump site this week. Close to that end.
Rocketing towards it. It's just fucking
Yeah.
just laying out a load of cards.
Yeah, I suspect there's probably only one more season of this after this one. But
Okay.
This will at least go to the end of Sapporo anyway, and then
yeah.
It's has it finished or is it just about to finish?
It's finished, yeah.
It is finished, yeah.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
Because I think it was the fan book people discussing this week, or it was an interview.
Oh yes,
it was an interview which wasn't in the fan book about how big everybody's dicks are.
Has to lay it out. I got so much pressure about it. It's fun. So
Everyone's asking.
So whoever you think is a manly man, new Shamatanic, I can do above average. That's all I'll say. And most everybody else is in the mid range, and Saraishi is below that.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, that's what I would have figured. Yeah. I know I'm not caught up on it, and I wasn't as obviously frustrated with the changing of the order of storytelling. But this was a really nice kind of return to form. It's like much like Spy Family. It's like, oh yeah, that's why I fucking love this show. Yeah.
It's it's comfortable viewing. Then we've got Mob Psycho 103, episode 1, Future Career Paths, in which we our hero, he's ending middle school. He's got to fill in this. What you're planning to do next, Mob? Are you going to find a job? Are you going to go to high school? And everyone's telling him,
I don't know.
You don't have to think about it this hard, mate. You're in middle school. You put whatever you like in.
Yeah, I just put in office worker. I didn't even have to specifically specify what kind of industry. It doesn't fucking matter. They don't care.
No, I know, but I don't. I know I can do it later, but I don't want to ruin my life, because you should start as soon as possible, right? I don't know.
It's Mob being a very good boy. He can't tell a lie. It's like, no, I have to figure out what I need to do and write it in truthfully. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
And then, in what I assume will be a mistake, he asks Dimple what he's planning to do in his future.
Oh, right! I'm still going to take over the world! Yeah, fuck! I forgot. Shit. I've been so distracted with all this fucking last 2 seasons.
Yeah, because this cult, that sprung up around it. There was this kind of, this like laying low online in like internet chat rooms. Where's a world tree or a giant like stalk of broccoli sprouted in the middle of the city, and they've come to see it as a sign from above of our savior's power on this earth. They've kind of been flocking to it. They've built a little fucking fair around it. I should get back in on that shit. Yeah.
Of people like staring up and going like, what does this mean? And also like the stalls and shit that have set up around it, because everyone's just like, oh, do you want to hang out at the broccoli? Yeah, let's go.
Get your glow sticks. Nobody gets cheating Ravenna without a glow stick.
And also a lot of this is establishing Serizawa as like, this is one of our main characters now because he works at the office. And
you see, Mob's gonna happen. This is what you're looking at. If you don't figure out what to do, this is gonna happen to you. 30+ years old, never left the house.
Keeps calling a guy younger than him like his boss, like that kind of thing.
You're working here. No.
So yeah, the first case is a haunted statue that a guy bought for 80,000 yen, and
it has a 300 yen sticker.
It costs a
$5.
Yeah. So Regan thinks, oh, no, this is just a fake, and then the other two lads are like, no, that's a terribly cursed item. It's okay.
Well, the thing is, it's this
you.
dude. Yeah, it's this dude who's just like, but man, I got fucking shit hand in life. My fucking girlfriend left me. I lost my job. My phone doesn't speak to me. I live in this fucking shitty apartment, all because of this fucking idol. And it's just more so because, he fucking is wallowing in how shit his life is. He's just infused it with negative energy, and then it just like spreads out, just corrupting the entire neighborhood. It's just like, I'll give it my best tomorrow. Oh yeah, I'll try my best next time. And it's the real demon all along was procrastination. Ooh. With sweet nothings in your ear and tells you fun, saying, go ahead, have a nap, just sleep in today. You've got nothing better to do. You're right. I should.
Yes, they deal with the Hoarder in the second half of the episode. And we also like check in on various other characters where we learn what they're planning on doing and also where they stand in the rankings in the school of
Yeah, the
how
test
good they.
scores.
Yes.
It was good to just check in on them and also see how they're doing at school by the use of fucking ranking numbers, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Body
Most of them
improvement
not
club.
very good.
Body
One
improvement
body
club,
improvement
folks.
club is like
Folks
number
in
2
body
in the school.
improvement, except for the shortest dude who's actually like in the top 100. He's doing all right. He's been
That guy's
higher than
gonna
that,
do
I
well
think.
for himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all gonna do well for themselves. They're all fine young men. Yeah.
Yeah, the one with the shaven head's like rank number 2. He's going to be a vet, and the one who wants to be a manga artist, but don't talk about him wanting to be a manga artist. I think he's like 34. But yeah, the rest of them are not doing great. That's okay. 'Cause they've got plenty of physical jobs they in mind that they
The
can use
guy,
there.
the leader is like, he's like, well, my family run a farm, so I'm probably just going to run the farm. And I was like, yeah, with that body, he'll do grand on the farm. It's no problem there. Yeah.
Yeah,
But you see them to figure out like content and and what they're doing, but it's okay to not know yet. Even
Yeah,
their
you're still
plans
fairly
as stated
fucking
might
young, like, so.
change. They go because again they're all fucking teenagers. It's grand.
Like even when eventually Mob's sitting in front of his homeschool teacher, the teacher's like, dude, it's not a big deal. Like you're in middle school, don't worry about it.
But this is again where Reagan he's kind of good, but wait, he's good at being the fucking the fucking shithead exploiter of people. Everyone saying, I mean, they're not going to work here. Shit, I gotta think of another plan. Berlin and Sarazawa a lot more. Yeah, be doing too much job. But as well, I know after Volleyball and saying, so you just wrote an office work on your form, right? Like if I'm saying, yeah, Sensei, like I think I don't see myself staying here, but I'll do this for the time being. If I'm saying, it's grand, and I might having you around, man. You're a good lad, and you'll do all right. Sure. I always start this business because not for some grand purpose. It's because I don't know. I just fucking wanted to do something different, and then then you turned up, and then just the rest is history. So it's funny how things turn out if you just fucking just go for it, no brain it, so to speak.
Yeah, but yes, the cult is formed, and then Dimple is pondering at the end.
So once again, like this young lad who has this burden of power upon him, and this just wants to live a fairly content, peaceful existence. Once again, he's got so little kind of life experience that he's often only got a voice of reason and rationality as the adults get up and into their fervor and saying, that's stupid. Why would you do something like that? That seems like a very mean thing to do. Why would you do something like that? And he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Sometimes adults need fun talking down to like that.
I loved it when they were dealing with the guy whose internal shittiness had manifested itself as an evil spirit infecting the town. Had not infected Mob and our new guy in the office with the spirit, but with his negativity. He's just like, man, I'm 50 years old and I ain't fucking done shit. And Mob's like, oh my god, I need to fucking figure this out now. And the other guy's like, oh my god, I'm 30. I need to fucking figure this shit out years ago. It's too late for me. And Mob going like, well, it's too late for me. I'm in middle school and I still don't know what I want to do.
I'm over the hill. Jesus.
Yeah. They're both in exactly the same position.
Broken down old man of 25.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is that he's a hoarder. It's not that at all, because they think they've cured him at the end, and he thinks he's cured, and then immediately falls into a bad habit as soon as their backs
picking up someone's dumped shonen jumps or something like that. And the thing of it as well is like, man, I'm losing all my hair and shit like that. They see a picture of him as a young man. It's just like, oh, that's how you've always looked. And you see a picture of the parents, and the mother has a receding hairline, the dad's bald as fuck, and it's just like, that's just genetic. It's just like, this is nothing. Yeah,
that's it. That's I was like, oh, that's just one chapter of the comic.
It was good though. It wasn't going to be like the biggest spectacular one. You get enough of it, and showing off the psychic abilities. So this is class and it's great. But it's just like, let's get everybody back in again. You remember Sarazawa, you remember Mob, you remember the Paranormal Investigation Club, you remember all these weirdos. Yeah.
We get a bunch of Reagan special moves that we haven't seen before. Using cleaning products and rice, the many uses of rice. Oh dear.
Next week, Yokai Hunter Amakusa Haruaki's debut.
Hmm.
Another weirdo will show up.
Excellent.
So that was all we were planning on watching, but then some of us watched other stuff as well. Niall, did you watch the Gundam, Dwayne, or was it just Niall?
I only managed to watch one of the extra 3 things that were added to the docket because I was like, oh shit, I didn't fucking watch those. And then I realized it was episode 0 of Gundam as well as the episode 1. I was like, oh fuck, I should probably watch 0 first then.
It wouldn't be it wouldn't be like, you know, fun. Oh, you gotta see this. Cav would hop on and be completely on board with the premise of this Gundam just from getting on with it. So it's a Gundam series. It's the first like new one in whoever made first new one in however TV one in however many much long. So it's been, you know, a lot of fervor surrounding it, and it's also like, you know, the first series with the main character is a girl Gundam pilot.
Ah, dear.
So they've taken it where we're like, no, it is this girl Suletta, who we've seen, if you've seen the episode 0 from the prologue, no, actually has some connections to some, I think, just hidden factions and groups who are like, making robots in secret and may have something to say about the current status quo of the solar system government or whatever like that. But anyways, it was her first day at Mobile Suit Piloting School, for Academy for Good Girls and Boys. And she's like the new girl in school, and is completely out of her depth because she's never actually been to any kind of school at all in her life, robot piloting or otherwise, and just runs afoul of like the kind of the hierarchy, the pecking order here, because these are all the kids from like prestigious families of industrialists and politicians and so forth, and they settle all of the disputes of any kind of decisions we made via dueling officially in big robot suits, which often just kind of spin out of control and just like barrel straight through into like, some of the training exercises in there. While Celine was coming in as well, she was she saw like, oh my god, it was like person in a spacesuit adrift out there. I better go rescue them. And this is Mirin, who wasn't adrift. She was adrift, but she was trying to escape and from this fucking like school to go. She hates being here. She's just been kind of put here against her will. And you dumb idiot, you're fucking trying to get out of here. And then they're completely at odds to begin with. But they come into like each other's like bounds again because there's a student council at this like school, I believe, and they're the ones who kind of administer and kind of organize all these duels. And Mirin is, I guess, the idol or whatever of the school or thing, but she's like, anybody like whoever like is like the current like top duelist, they get to have her as their girlfriend or their trophy or their bride, if you will. And then Suletta, in her kind of ways, fun saying, I'll step in to defend your honor. I'll do it. And basically, the fucking thing of it is they've taken the premise of Revolutionary Girl Utena and they've applied it to a Gundam show. Because Suletta steps in after Mirin steals a robot, trying to fight a duel herself, but she can't pilot the Gundam, is too far advanced and too weird. Suletta steps in, I'll defend your honor. Beats up the cocky dude's ass and said, well, you know what you've just done, right? Well, what? I don't get it. Well, you fucking beat him in a duel, and but in terms of the duel, I am like the bride of the top duelist, so now I'm your girlfriend. What? Yeah, so it's taken us the idea of like an anime series I already like very much enjoyed, and just applied it to like just basically we've got put big robots in it. It's almost the exact same thing. Maybe like our new like school student is a bit more stargate, a bit more naive than Utena was in that series. But it pretty much is all the way kind of down to it. Like mysterious student council, who are overseeing things. Isn't just like a matter of when you fire into the blow up notes, it's kind of knocking off the little kind of the crest off the top of the robot's head. So you don't need to go for a kill shot. It's just like, this the first mark off it is, and then we have the bride thing passing around.
Okay.
So it's quite fun. It looks very well. And the other thing I've been told to watch out for is that from episode 2, at least from the start of dropping, is this is also going to bring elements of Shakespeare's play The Tempest.
I do like The Tempest. Okay.
Which makes for an interesting combining of things. Because Utena was about interrogating like the typical fairy tale storyline. Different one, you're the princess in the castle, and one time a dashing prince is going to come and rescue you from this thing. Except what if the prince decided, fuck that, I'm going to be the prince and save myself. And the Tempest then was all about drawing attention to the fact that Arthur said, well, this is actually a play that's going on right here, because Prospero, the magician main character, his magic is actually like the magic of stagecraft.
Illusions and stuff. Yeah.
So it can make for interesting character things going on. I'm kind of wondering then, like, how will it marry well with because it's going to be fun in it. We've seen from the prologue it'll be like a lot of in there as well. They have the typical Gundam like political machinations and intrigue and fucking solar system civil war that might break out. Will there be kind of room for it to kind of encompass all of that as well? Because I think as episode 2, that Slater has been in prison for war crimes, so she's off to a great start. First day at school, all this happens to her, and then episode 2 is like, oh, you're in front of the fucking Hague.
That's the equivalent in this show, I guess, of being in detention. Yeah, bit extreme, but okay.
Yeah. The sweet robots too. They, maybe a distant ones. If there was like a big fleet thing or a large kind of space station, and just like pies, like is it more kind of CG thing? But the actual robots, when they're battling, they're full on, like fully powerful, hand animated Gundams fighting the robots there, and getting chopped up and blown up and things. The aerial Gundams got a cool gimmick where you've seen maybe like in other mobile suits and other series now where it's like, it was like a really kind of a cool advanced one that has like the kind of orbiting little option things like that shoot lasers of us. You gotta be having a lot of coordination to be able to control all of those. But those bits that kind of fly around and they kind of combine together and make the weapon. So they combine together and make a shield, or they kind of flip around together and make the gun. There's cool bits like that. The model kit is sold out naturally because it has this little feature accounted for. You just kind of snap together all the bits and make your like armaments for it.
You've got quiet again, Dwayne.
Have I?
You have.
No, I don't know what to tell you.
Okay.
Yeah. It's after a very good start. It's it's got apparently Gundam fans watching Utena. It's got Utena fans watching Gundam. Cats and dogs living together. Total anarchy.
But will it get Gundam fans and Utena fans to watch Star Driver? The previous attempt to do Utena with giant robots.
Yeah. Or would it get people to watch Captain Earth, which was the last attempt to do Shakespeare for giant robots?
Yes. From the same screenwriter. Of course, they actually share screenwriters with Utena, unlike Gundam. I'm not sure you're ever going to match Captain Earth, but I suspect people like the Gundam Witch from Mercury more than they like Captain Earth because
more action figures you can buy.
No, Captain Earth. Captain Earth takes 7 episodes to get to its premise. That's the problem with Captain Earth. It's like in the marketing, it was like, here's the premise, and then you have to wait 7 episodes before you get to what they marketed to you. And also, then they don't have enough episodes to actually get through characterizing all the villains as well. But still, highly recommend Captain Earth because it's great.
Gwitch gets the vote from me. I'll try and squeeze it in. It is the hot ticket right now, so I can see why.
I don't know if anybody else watched it, but I watched episode 1 of Human Crazy University. Death Row inmate Satake Hirofumi.
I did watch it. So
I could not get around to.
This is the extra one I did watch. Because I figured, if it's barely animated, that'll be quicker to watch, said my dumbass fucking brain. No, it's as long as a regular episode.
It is. The first half, it tells you everything you ever wanted to know about how the Japanese capital punishment system works.
With the help of cardboard cutouts of people explaining it to you.
Yes, who don't make eye contact. And in the second half, after our main character, Satake Hirofumi, has indeed been hung until he is dead, but he has come back to life. And then we get an explanation of various cases where people have come back to life after being killed by the Japanese capital punishment system.
Yeah, because as they explained in the first one, you don't have to do prison labor when you're on death row because your punishment is execution. So if they did the execution on you, crime solved. You're free to go. Because if you survive the execution, it's just like, well, we did punish you for the crime, so legally, there's nothing else we can do to you. It
Yeah.
seemingly seems to be the problem. Yeah.
Yeah. We also in the second half. This is all explained by I can't remember the mad scientist's name. He's voiced by the
He's
guy who
the
plays.
professor.
He plays Majima in the Yakuza games.
Hmm.
And Satake can't remember who he is, and
Hmm.
the fact that we know he's murdered his fiance, and then we learn that he can't remember who he is after he's died, and then we also
Hmm.
learn in the second half that he has died multiple times before being sentenced to death row.
So yeah, the scientist points out that you have a particularly strong neck, as is that prior time where a guy strung a wire across the road
Yes.
and tried to decapitate you on your motorbike, but you just ended up getting yourself injured. So your neck is very strong. But you getting strangled wasn't what killed you. You with your neck snapping on the gallows isn't what killed you. No, no, no. It's from that fish, the sea bream that you ate, because you're allergic to the parasite that is common in fish, and that caused anaphylactic shock. So the coroner identified death in you incorrectly, but because it was anaphylactic shock rather than getting your neck snapped. So yeah. Also, you've had, and he goes through a list of all the things that would murder any normal fucking person, including anthrax. He's had anthrax, but he got better apparently.
Yeah, so yeah, this guy is a human bug, which is the
Hmm.
Japanese title for this show. And human bug appears, and it would make sense. You could just call it human bug. Why it's called Human Crazy University is a crazy bit of translation, presumably done from the Japanese end.
Like
Um,
I think the Japanese translation, if I'm hearing what they're saying right, and also hearing the theme tune at the end right, it's like bug-eyed, and that's getting translated into crazy or something like that.
but it just says human bug. It just in English
No, but like in
appears
the
on the
theme, I think it was
screen.
like human bug eye, or something like that. There were,
I don't
like
know.
I don't know what. Yeah,
I
it's a
think
weird
I think
translation.
it's supposed to be human bug. He's a bug in the
Yeah,
system. He's
that's
the
like
system of
explicitly
Earth.
said. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to translate it so people don't think it's human centipede related, call it Human Glitch University. Um,
Mm,
it's a very strange show because it's not. You think it's a comedy from looking at it. It's not really a comedy. It's an educational
nope.
show with a very
Mm.
weird premise, which is why everyone's drawn like their textbook illustrations.
The other thing that made me kind of want to watch it was that opening where there's multiple ways of that guy dying, and it reminded me of the end credits of Captain Scarlet, and I was like, "Ooh, this does look like my jam."
Nice.
And also the suggestion that there might be other human bugs at this
Yes.
institute that they've moved him to
Mm.
while the government try and figure out what they do with the guy.
It's
Uh,
statistically very unlikely, but this has happened before several
yes.
times.
It's
Yeah.
like yes, technically they should let you go free, but that's probably not what's going to happen to you.
Mm,
But in the
mm.
meantime, we can conduct experiments on you. Um,
Mm,
yeah, but they also do point out like all these events happened in the past, so the accounts of them may not be entirely accurate. Uh,
mm, mm,
but these are the accounts of people who have survived capital punishment. But who knows if that was really the case?
mm.
Um, Yes, I was Human Crazy University, and the other thing I managed to watch, and I think Niall did as well,
Oh
based on
yeah.
his background, Akiba Maid War, Episode 1. Oink it up! Starting today, you're an Akiba Maid.
That episode title made me want to watch it, but I did not have the time.
Uh, I I believe the title is a pun in Japanese in that the word maid is spelt using the characters for underworld. Um,
Mm,
it just sounds like Maido, I think, or something like that.
Yeah,
okay.
Because
Mado.
this is a show that does not hide its premise right from the start. It opens up with a flashback 15 years ago, or 15 years before the story takes place, which is
Mm,
1999 is when the story takes place, where
Mhm.
we see a senior maid arriving in a car. The junior maid opens the door for her, and then another maid runs down this alleyway with a gun and shoots the senior maid. And the younger maid, does she declare vengeance or just has vengeance on her face?
Just has it on her face and saying, "No, boss!" Just fucking gunned down by some stoolie here in an alleyway like a dog. This isn't the way you're meant to go out. We're supposed to go to the top. And just
Uh,
like, her path is set then, and then cut dent and we're in Akihabara in 1999 at the height of the Maid Cafe boom.
Oh, before we get there, we get the opening credits, which are also full of violence, but then it starts off like very dark, and then it becomes very cheery at the end.
Mhm.
I think the other important thing is, which I looked up on Wikipedia. So during the opening credits, we see like this very stern-looking maid in a corporate office with like a lion symbol behind it. That's
Hmm.
because the very first maid cafe in Japan was in the Meiji era called Cafe Lion, which was based
Oh.
on they'd been to London and seen is it JJ Lyons Cafe or Jane? Yeah. So it's
Okay.
Lions Lyons in London, but then they turned that into Cafe Lion, the
Hmm.
big cat in Japan. Uh, so yeah, maid cafes date back to the Meiji era, um, as like
It's traditional. There's nothing weird
a
about it.
gimmicked cafe. Yes.
Hmm.
So that's why the line symbols behind that character in the opening credits. So this may
There's
go
also
all
a
the way back.
there's also a character who, as of yet, though, their face is completely censored out.
Yes.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that was also fascinating as well. And
It's so
then
hideous, you can't cover it up.
what's our point of view character? The character, oh, Nagomi. She's 17 years old. She's arrived in Akihabara. She's going to get a job, a pig-themed maid cafe. And there's another new recruit there as well. 35-year-old Ranko Manon, who seems to behave like she's just come out of the military. Um,
She's very dedicated.
yeah,
Uh, there's like two other girls they're no fun, like the kind of fun. The pigtail girl and the gal, and they're very like very cheerful to the customers, but they pick up and say, "The fuck out my way, newbie! Don't fuck up my tips, all right?" Says, "Okay, Jesus," and that's the way it's that's the way it is in the business. You gotta be able to fucking just lose much of your humanity. You can put on that fake smile at the top of a hat and just get the punters in. That's the kind of business you're in now, girl. I don't know what kind of starry-eyed dreams you had coming into this place.
yeah. So Ranko is like very intense. Is probably the best way to put her. And Nagomi is like too into the pig theme. Um, she starts acting too much like a pig rather than a cute pig-themed maid. When she's told by the cafe manager to go back and read the instructions again. But as they're closing down, an otaku walks in who seems to be a messenger for whatever organization runs a group of these maid cafes, and they haven't been paying their sweets money in time. And
Sweets, buddy.
so to make up for this, they've got to deliver this letter to a rival maid cafe, which they go and make the new girl take. And Ranko volunteers to go along, and they're like, and the other two girls are like, "Do you think we'll ever see them again?" The cafe manager says, I'm feeling optimistic. I think they might make it back." Um,
Already posting up the advertisement.
yes. And so
Uh,
they go to the rival cafe, which is bunny themed. They give the letter, and the letter is just a lineage of insults to the bunny girl cafe. Um, at which the head bunny maid is like ranting and like, "What are you going to do about this?" And then they'd been to the ramen shop below on the ground floor of the building that their pig maid cafe is in,
Hmm.
and Ranko
yeah.
has they have a meal there, but then Ranko has a takeaway bag from the cafe owner, which is like apparently the usual or something. So
Oh
it's
yeah,
like,
you know precisely what that is.
yes. Yeah, and so as the buddy maid is ranting, she gets shot in the head by Ranko because she's got a pistol in that that ramen takeaway bag. Um, and then it's just carnage. They get chased after. They get chased out the cafe by the buddy maids who have pulled their own pistols and knives.
Yep. Okay,
And
everybody, it's time for the song before we close out. Who's a good piggy? And then that song plays out as the choreographed violence of their escape then unfolds.
yeah,
And you have fucking Ranko doing fucking gun kata, which is in the style of like the idol fucking kind of dance, which is going that one.
yes,
Right.
it's a glow stick dance, but instead of glow sticks, she's got pistols.
Or the bunnies have got just like knives and just going like,
Yes.
yeah, stab.
All those dances were killing arts, and we just never knew.
There was a funny bit earlier on when the woman gets shot in the head, and just that fountain of blood pouring out of her head onto Nagomi's outfit. Luckily, she was still wearing the paper bib from the ramen cafe, so she hasn't made too much of a mess of her uniform.
Just how well just like all the hits go on to that beat. It's just like fun to go dun 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 dun, unloading the clip into people.
I think if you wanted a definition of grand guignol or guignol in animation, this first episode is pretty much that. It's just an excess of gore, but to the level where it's comedic.
It's a strong opener, for sure. I am a big fan of these. We're going to take what sounds like a fairly hackneyed premise. I'm going to go on directors in an entirely different and what sounds inappropriate, but actually very appropriate manner. So you have Birdie Wing. We're going to direct that like a robot show.
Yeah.
You have like that one to come out. We're not going to have time for a while to see what's interesting now. Blue Lock, which is Wavi did a sports anime, like a death game anime. Then I got disappointed. Wavi had a made kind of like a fucking period 1999 made cafe anime directed like a Yakuza crime drama.
Also write it like a Yakuza crime drama. That's the other thing. It's like
yeah.
Whereas they go up to the bunny cafe and it's in the middle of like fucking like we have one like girl on the table and it's like no I want dude you're gonna fucking do it you fucked up you're gonna no not my ear child. It's just kind of felt bunny ears like you know now everyone know what a fuck up you are. Because Yakuza breaking people in.
Yes.
Like it started so strongly. I hope like you know where do you go from there as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Because there's like loads of these different animal themed maid cafes in this area, and yeah, this Ranko you assume is the maid we saw in the flashback. When she would have been 20, because they established she's 35 here. That's the other thing. They're like a 35-year-old maid.
The marriage very interesting. Well, as long as if we can realize this, everyone can have a second chance in life. I quite like the manager. It's just like it's the shape of her face and also her general attitude.
Yes.
It's a lot like Goto from Pat Labor. It's just like whatever works. I'm fine with it as long as you get the results. All right.
And Nagome is like, okay, I need to pack my bags and get the hell out of here. This is not the world I expected. But she's sharing her dorm with Ranko, and Ranko's like very polite. So it's like very happy to be working with her, but she's locked the door, so she can't actually leave the dorm room.
Which bunk do you want?
Yeah,
I'll give you first choice.
So you're like, oh, this is incredibly violent. I don't quite know what's going on. I know apparently maid cafes are run like the Yakuza. Also, the otaku that you see in Akibara are like agents for some sort of larger organization. Because it's like the very 90s otaku. He's got the backpack with the poster sticking out, the headband, the glasses, the plaid shirt. Yeah, it's like.
Yeah, I was trying to dig up, just like very cursorily, it's probably to dig a little deeper about the writer of it, as this is the only like anime credit that he has. People like, he must have written something.
He's got another one. He's got another one. It's just not on Anime News Network.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a web one. It's something to do with bloodlines. It's called. I can't remember the name of it now.
Yeah. Because this isn't based off a comic or not. It's an original idea. Everyone's saying, okay, why did they go to this guy for that idea? What was the kind of the motivation behind it? How did they do it?
I think he's done something else for Side Games. It's a YouTube anime, and I can't remember what it's called.
Just kind of wondered, like, just because it is just set. It is this period. I suppose that's when this like phenomenon was probably pretty big, if not at its height. But yeah, it's kind of fascinating. It's just so mysterious and kind of unexpected. I just no fucking like notion of this. I'd heard of it, and it's interesting that it was going to be set in that year. But that could be interesting. It's kind of looking back, more than 2 decades later, it could be an interesting thing. And it is quite interesting. That's not the way I thought it would be.
Yeah.
But you like the directors of, I think, Chika, Coffin Princess, don't you?
Oh yes, that's Soichi Matsu. Yeah, he's good. I think it's a pretty solid dude. Because that was another thing that kind of surprised me is that one saying light novel. Man, what the fuck is this all about? But it was just like, oh, it's just one of those good light novels that actually just kind of lets you just kind of sit and kind of pick up the details of the word by itself, and just barrel on through it. Wasn't fucking like so couched in a video game thing. It had a magic system with rules, but it didn't fucking. It didn't fucking beat you over the head with it. Also, of a Heaven's Design team, that was also like a recent memory favorite of ours.
Mm-hmm.
And he's done a bunch of Shin-chan stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
So YouTube animation Mixed Blooded Boyfriend. I think he's also involved in.
My boyfriend is a foreigner.
I think he's a vampire.
Okay.
Oh no, sorry, no,
that's as far
alien.
as it gets.
Because there's a he did the original so there's an RPG of that, which is the thing his name came up on. It's turned into a tabletop RPG. Let's create an original character with alien DNA and go play in the world where the 3 people from the boyfriend shop are. Okay, that's a machine translated.
Boyfriend shop.
Yes.
Gotta pick up a new boyfriend. This one's gone bad.
So that runs under the fear system. I'm not familiar. Oh, am I familiar? What is the
Fight,
fear?
elimination, aggression.
Yeah, the FEA
regulator.
stand for the stats. I think it is. I've forgotten how it works though.
At some point, Fear basically developed a house system, which they eventually started calling SRS, Standard Role Playing System. Okay, yeah, so this is on YouTube. It may be as animated as Human Crazy University is, by the looks of things. Okay, there's one of them seems to be being swallowed by a shark. So he has done other stuff, which I guess might be related to Psy Games or something like that. I was also like, oh, it's Psy Games. Is there going to be like a gacha game attached to this at some point? But I guess not everything is a gacha game with them, just most things. We wait and see whether there'll be like collect your favorite animal themed maids with guns. Also, there's a panda who does not look happy being cooped up inside a tiny cafe.
You can play a mean tambourine, though.
He can, yes.
This and Gundam, it sounds like I'm gonna have to check out both of them at the very least. The first one.
Yeah, I watched a tiny bit of Do It Yourself, which also looks good, but I didn't have time to finish the episode.
Yeah.
It looks very. When did I feel like not watching this is me not watching the thing it reminds me of when that was on, and I can't remember what it's called now. God, it's got Windy in the title. Windy anime. Is that going to give you
Windy Tales?
Windy Tales, that's it. The animation style reminded me of Windy Tales. Which is a thing I slept on. Yeah, maybe not quite as abstract as Windy Tales character design, but the animation style reminds me a little of that.
As far as they had the audacity, and then the main character of DIY, Do It Yourself, the main character was U.S. Surferu.
And people saying good things about Bocce the Rock.
I've seen the gifs, yeah.
Okay.
Curse you, Caesar! Too much good stuff.
Gotta get all this shit in the shops before Christmas, all right?
It's a good problem to have, but yeah, it does.
I've got Great North and Bob's Burgers to watch as well. Well, at least She-Hulk's finishing, so that frees up an extra half hour a week. So there we go. Yeah, absolute nightmare to live in such bountiful times where constant content directed directly at me. By the time give me 3 or 5 more years, I'll be complaining again that there's nothing I can watch. Uh,
And you just need to go back a couple of years and catch up on stuff. Yeah.
yeah, I
Let's
don't know
say
why
it's
my
fucking-
computer is
So-
saying that I have no internet access when I'm still talking to you, but that's probably a sign that we should wrap the episode up. And we'll be back next week when me and Niall will have returned from Amicon, where
Hey.
they still refuse to
our
release the event schedule to the general public.
Yeah. What was that? Eliminated all the question marks from those blocks yet.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll be hearty and healthy and back from that. Bye for now.